Hello. Welcome to the first video of our installment of Scoundrel's Alley. A lot of the video that you're going to see is going to introduce four people that you're very familiar with. Most of you on the circuit are familiar with myself. I am Eric Seitz of Fairwind Circus. You'll also be familiar with my wife, Susan. I often call her Penelope. Also joining us in this little endeavor that we've put together are Frank and Carol Jarbeau. You'll know them, of course, as Parson John and Maggie from parsonjohn.org. Between the four of us, we have over 75 years of living history experience, and our focus has always been on reality of history. We want to show what reality was like. One of the things that we've noticed in all of our studies is there was one section of society that's never really brought on. Everybody likes to play them. Everybody likes to talk about them. But it's the outcasts. It's the people on the other side of the track, as it were. These are the people that nobody really wants to study or read about. They're generally outcast, dirty, poor, slovenly. They're just not that nice. But their stories, they're the part, when we get right down to it, that answer the one basic question that's at the heart of all humanity. Most of us don't have to deal with the question, but these people did. And it's the simple question of what would you do to survive? What would you do to keep your family together? What are you willing to do to keep your children fed? It is a dark and it's often just a horrible subject matter. But when we look at these people, their lives show the perseverance and just basic humanity of striving and living and driving through, of working themselves from one point to another until they can get to the other side. Even if it's just by barely surviving, at least they got to the other side. So that is one of our goals, is to present that side, because quite frankly, their stories are just as important as the coopers and the blacksmiths and the merchants. They need to be allowed their own legacy, and they need to let it be brought out there. We're going to do it in a somewhat entertaining way. Of course, we want it to be entertaining and not to drive people away. But it was important that you know that these people, it was rough. So in this video, our first video that we're going to put together, we're going to introduce four of those people, and we're going to talk about a little bit about their lives, where they came from, how we got involved, how we decided we wanted to be these characters, and what we put together. We put this together for a couple of reasons. Again, one was because we wanted to see that underside of life and see these people and realize how humanity has always struggled, and we forget these people. And we also wanted to be able to offer something different. Of course, as most of you know, this is how we all make a living. So we wanted to put something together that would be entertaining, but yet very historically accurate at your event, if you choose that. And we know that some of you are here because you're our friends. Some of you are here because you are just interested in history. Some of you are watching it because you're looking for something new at your event. Some of you might be watching this and realizing, oh, this would be very good to have them come and talk to my historical event or my dinner. It's really up to you. So at the heart of all of this, it's kind of our way of looking at history in a lighthearted, fun family way. Everything that we do and everything we're going to say, we can document. That was one of our major focuses as well when we put this together. We were going to put together people that we could show from primary sources that these are the people that they were. Here's who they were. We do invite questions. We hope to continue this on. You'll notice at the bottom, of course, as any YouTube video, there is a like button. There's a subscribe button. We urge you to use both of them. If you have comments or questions, drop them down. We are going to be addressing those in future videos. Well, until then, well, sit back and relax and prepare to meet the scoundrels. Whilst discourse and envy in mighty kingdoms dwell, the beggar lives at ease within his humble cell, and a begging we will go, and a begging we will go.
Whatever we get, we seldom keep in store. We spend it all today, and tomorrow make for more.
And a begging we will go, and a begging we will go.
Exempt from all duty by sea, we hope that the man has never will be.
And a begging we will go.
What are we doing here now?
Well, I don't know about you, but I've got work to do on the streets. I'm
Hey,
losing money by the minute.
I've been
I have
up all
things to
night
sell
last
from
night.
my basket.
I'm just hot.
I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
I
follow
know.
that
Everybody
one up.
knows that. That was a... Hello, my name is Eric Seitz. I play the character of Christopher Bodkin, well-educated, came from a wealthy family, who in turn plays at being Irish, outgoing and jovial. It's the perfect cover for being the sharper, or what's called a Faulkner, or shower of small tricks within the crew. I based my character off of Banfield Moore Carew and also George Duval. These were two of probably the most famous early con men, confidence men, sharpers of the 18th and 19th century. Although my character would not have been in a canting crew, he would have worked with the canting crew very closely within the canting crew. I would have used them. I certainly would have traded with them, warned them, been part of them. There was a big difference between me and them, though, and for one thing, I was better educated. I dressed better. I certainly smelled better, especially from these two on this side.
What's he saying about us?
Because the point is, I wanted your money, and the only way to get all of the money I want, which is basically all the money anybody had, was to work both sides of the street. So sometimes I would dress nicely and go into the wealthy men's and women's houses. And there I would sing songs or play games, take the money that they had, all the money I could get. And then I would go out into the coffee houses where the young sporting ladies and gentlemen, they were fascinated with this, and they would begin, even eventually by the middle of the 19th century, they'll take my language, the cant language of the crew, and turn it into what we call flash, and we'd still call it flash language today. Most of the time, though, I played Christopher Bodkin, the sharper, the Faulkner of the group, and then I was on the street corner. And there I'd be playing me little games, thimble rigging, find the lady, Pearson the Garter, three of the most famous ones. And I would do that and take all the money I could, because it didn't matter to me whether how poor or rich you were. It's my money and I'm going to get it. But I'll do it in such a way you'll enjoy giving me the money. And I'm going to do this until me dear wife, well, she's me autumn mort, finest little toil you ever liked me to meet. Now, she is part of a canting crew. She's an actual Irish toil from the canting crew. I'll let her tell you about her story later. But what she does is she's the group's bo peep. Now, when I'm out here playing the game, well, all the other crews, they're around there doing what they do, borrowing and filching and stealing and other things. Well, me woolly like Penelope, she's over there with her bald basket, and she's going to play bo peep. What that means is she's watching for the harmon back. Now, when she snilches the harmon back, oh, don't you believe it? She's going to turn cat and pan. Oh, no. What she does is she cuts between wids and cries beef. Well, then, all the mendicants, well, they cry and tip the cold into the door, up the stampers, and to the Doseville, and there they play the least in sight. As for me, well, I don't leave the area. No, what I do then is I simply put my games away. I pick up a stack of broadsheets, pick up my instrument, and then I am no longer Irish. Absolutely not. That's disgusting that you could suggest I was Irish. Then I become a flying stationer. And then I'm going to sit here and sing to you the latest of the most popular songs and ballads and tunes from the plays and the operas and the comic operas that are being written for the common people just like you. Well, that was a good job. But at the heart of it, there's one thing you need to learn about Christopher. Whether he's being a flying stationer or was he's being Christopher Bodkin the Sharper, the Falconer. He's not your friend. I'm not your neighbor. You got something I want, and I'm going to have it. So if you come to my table and put up your stampers, take off your Joseph, grab a chatterbrute, think we're going to cut bean wids, best you be knowing this. You've got my money, and I am going to get it. As I was explaining to you, this is my lovely wife, where she's my autumn mort.
You
Don't
made
like
it
you
too.
Tell him what you do there.
Hi, my name is Susan Seitz, and I play the character Penelope. I really am married to him. My character Penelope is based on two real-life characters, Mary Webb and Mary Motors. They are both listed as Irish toils, and they are listed in the very first list of canting crew, which was published in 1566. Now, I really am not Irish. We have no idea why they were called an Irish toil, but if you're really curious, just ask Eric. He can do the research. He'll be glad to tell you why they're not Irish, but
He can
are
read.
listed. He
I
can
can
read.
read.
That's right. He's our research assistant. So anyway, as I said, I play Christopher's wife, Penelope. I am known as his autumn mort. Autumn mort means that we were married in a church with a parson with words from the good book, unlike many of the women in the crew who were not married, but we're not going to go into that right now. Many of the lower classes didn't believe in marriage or being married.
You can't see us in a church now, can you?
I wouldn't let me in a church.
Nah.
As Christopher pointed out, I'm his bo peep. That means that I stand just out of sight, and if I see the harmonback, the thief taker, the bum bailiff coming along, I cry beef. That means I sound the alarm so that the members of the crew who are out working the streets with me can run and hide. That's called playing least in sight, and we just disappear into the crowd. As a toil, I have my own special jobs within the crew also. I can be a Kate, a Jenny diver, an angler, or a sweetener. That basically means I'm a pickpocket, a lockpick, a lookout, and I use those jobs to the best of my ability. One of my greatest areas of expertise, though, are using the children of the canting crew or the children of the streets. I will gather up the Kinchin Morch and the Kinchin Coves and turn them into my own little army. As I'm going through town procuring special items, I will pass these off to the children, known as tipping the coal, and they will then run that item to the stalling ken or my fence. Once that item is gotten rid of and we have a few coins, I will split those with the children, and that's how they make money. These children may be children of the streets. They could belong to local vendors of the streets. Sometimes there'll be a few children who have a real home and they're just out playing for the fun of it. These children are not mine, so I don't have to take care of them, so it's no worry to me what happens to them afterwards. As long as they do their job, don't get caught, we're both good. These children are known as my Adam Tylers. That's just one of the words that we use in the canting crew for them. So once we're done for the day, I send them off to wherever they go at night, and we're good. So don't worry about me. I'll just get something for myself.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, that's a perfectly good thing.
Yeah.
Well, my name is Frank Jarbo, and my character is the old badger. Now, the old badger is different from these other three people sitting here, because you see, this fella here, he was bored. He was bored into doing this. He just thought it was an interesting thing, and he said, I'm going to join up. And then this fine lady over here, she was wed into the canting crew. And Maggie, sitting right here beside me, my dearly beloved of late, she has been forced into this life. But I'm different. I am a Powyer. I am a clapperjudgeon. That means I was born into this. You see, my mother came from England as a transport. She had to come over as a transport. She bled the belly, and it turned out to be not true. So they put her on the ship to come to this country for doing something. I think she stole some bread or something, probably. She was a poor woman, and she came over here, and I was born not long after she arrived. Well, she taught me the ways of how to survive on the street, and when she died when I was 6, I've been about on my own ever since. The old badger, they call me. You back me into a corner, you're going to regret it. And I'm good at digging, which has come in real handy as late. Because you see, I'm a resurrectionist. I'm probably as noble, if not more noble, than the rest of these fellas sitting here, because I'm doing some good for humankind, supplying specimens so that doctors can learn how to be doctors. And I'm good at my work. Now, normally you wouldn't see me out in a day like this. You wouldn't have to cry beef and tell me that your harmonback was coming, because I'm going to be sleeping all day. And I'm least in sight all the time. So if you want some extra coin, come see me, and together we'll dig some up.
Well, I guess that only leaves me. And like Badger says, he and I are together. I'm just the latest, I'm sure, in the long list. But we didn't go to no church to get our vows done. Who would have us?
Wouldn't let us in.
But we decided we're just as married as they are. But I weren't born into it, and I'm not wed into it. I was forced into it. You see, my husband and I, Robbie, we came from Ireland a number of years ago. I've been here now for more than 25 years. And when we came over, it was because we were evicted from the place we were at. And we came with our children, but all of them were sold away from me when we landed here as indentured servants. And I didn't see them all again. I went down and was sold and bought back down in the Virginia area, as I'm sure some of you know already. And while I was down there, my husband Robbie died. So I became a widow. When I took my freedom, I came back into Philadelphia to try to find my children that were sold away that day. And I wasn't able to find them. But starving as I was on the street, not knowing what to do, and scraping, just trying to stay by, that's when I met Badger. And he offered me a job in his resurrectionist gang. And
I took care of you, didn't I?
You did take care of me, darling, you did. And that's when I got to be a part of this gang. And through his gang, I learned to be a part of the canteen crew. Now, we did well together, he and I. I was his spy and gopher. And I went out and checked to see where all the new graves were and came back and told him. All I had to do was wear my black. And I even got paid sometimes for walking about and crying after those dead bodies. But then Badger had an accident. I told you not to go out there.
I was wounded in battle, Maggie.
Well, if you just listened to me, you wouldn't have been wounded
Maggie,
in battle.
Tell your story, Maggie.
Well, anyways, when he got wounded, that part of our life had to stop. And once he healed and came back out with the limp that he's got, no one would have him again. And he lost the gang that he was running with. And so we had to take to the streets and try to find another way to live. Well, as we've gotten older and times have gotten harder, I've had to slide down back into the canteen crew again and try to find something that I could do that would help to make us a living. And I settled on something called a mumper. You see, a mumper is a general beggar, someone that just begs in the street. And in Ireland, there is no shame in begging. It's the same as selling anything as you go along. And so there was no shame in me taking that job, not at all. But the bad thing is here in the colonies, it's against the law to do the begging. They consider that troublesome. And they're afraid that you're going to bring crime into their cities if they already knew how much was there. So I have to do something on the street that keeps me legal, if you were to say that. Respectable, to cover up my begging. And the way that I do that is by pretending to be a pauper. Now, we are poor, so I'm not exactly pretending all the way. But see, here, they mark you out with this lovely little P if you're a pauper, and they're giving you some help from the city for the poor relief. So I put a P on my ragged clothes that I have, and I go out and sit in the streets during the day, and I pick the oakum, taking the old rope apart and into fibers so that they can roll it back up and make caulking for the ships. And so that's what I do to cover my begging. And when people stop by to see what I'm doing and to say something about the pauper badge I have on me, I just ask them for a little bit more. And the selectmen and the overseers of the poor and those that are looking for me on the street never are the wiser because they think that I'm one of them. And so that's what I do. Now, like Penelope though, I like to have the children along, except for I don't use the street children very often. The ones that can run about. I need the little wee ones. And so I borrow or rent the little children from the women in the canteen crew or from the poor women on the streets who don't have any income. I rent their children during the day and I dirty them down and rag their clothes and I keep them with me because you see, you're going to feel more sorry for me if I have children that I have to feed. Sometimes I pinch them when you come by to make them cry. And I teach them, even when they're little bitty, to say, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. And so I can be able to tell you that the reason they're crying is because they're so hungry. Now, before you think the worst of me, I give them a bite of bread to eat during the day. I take care of them while I'm babysitting them out there like that. And at the end of the day, I take them back to their mother and I give them a little of what I've earned during the day. So everyone's happy with that. But when you see me on the streets with those children, you just remember that I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that you give me that money because you've got what I want and I'm going to get it from you.
Well, now that that's finished, shall we go back to our game? I believe it's my deal.
Yeah,
That part's mine.
I know.
No taxes oppress us, nor honors wreck our brains. State maxims ne'er perplex us, nor parties give us pain. And a begging we will go, and a begging we will go. Contented when death nature approaches nigh. In pleasure thus we live, and in pleasure thus we die. And a begging we will go, and a begging we will go. Well, I hope you've enjoyed our little introduction to the canting crew. As I said before, if you have any questions, please drop us a line. You can reach me at eric@fairwinds.com. That's FAIREWYNDS.com. Or you can reach Carol at Maggie@parsonjohn.org. Or just drop a line into the links in the comments below. I think we'll also be putting a link to both our web pages, which will have more information about not only ourselves, but the Scoundrels themselves. So if you have any questions, drop us a line. If you'd be interested in having us at one of your events, do please drop us a line. And if you do see us and know that we're coming to one of your events, you can always come and talk to us there. You'll find Susan and I at either the circus or the Rough and Ken, the Hedge Tavern, or you can catch Parson John and Maggie, Carol and Frank, either over at the Resurrectionist under the sign of the Hue and Coffin Society, or Maggie will be wandering everywhere. We look forward to seeing you. We look forward to working with you. We look forward to answering your questions. Challenge us. That's part of what we want to do too. We want to grow as well as help you grow as well. Again, I thank you very much. And from all four of us, happy canting and keep thinking.